Welcome to another episode of Starseed Activations. Excellent. Thank you guys so incredibly much for tuning in tonight. So tonight, some of the questions that we had rolling in, we're just going to dive right in. So the first question was chaos energetic encoded individuals. Now, some individuals come encoded with this type of chaos energetic in their field, specifically for when you come into contact with them. They actually pulse your energetic grids, which then in turn allows you to release density or distortions. It could be either one. Now, what that looks like, it looks like a trigger. It looks like somebody who's always around you, and then all of a sudden, all that chaos energy comes boiling up to the surface, which then in turn allows you to handle whatever problems arise in the now moment, is what the star people are saying. Now, when we have a look at this, it kind of looks like those people are just always in the wrong place at the wrong time because they're always experiencing this chaos. However, they truly are a blessing to humanity because these particular people come around to assist us in our evolutionary processes. Now, the reason the star people are bringing this up today is because we just experienced a super blue moon last night. And so all full moons, they trigger our energetics, which then in turn allows us to release density. And anytime an individual releases density, it clears the grids a tiny, tiny bit, depending on the density fully released. And it allows for more love and light to be absorbed into the grids, which then in turn, that love and light energetic is always going to be knowledge. It's going to be a shift in the way you see the physical reality. It's going to be a new habit, pattern, or routine. Now, and it's so funny because today, right, and this just clicked in my mind right as they're telling us all this. Today they had me do ice baths. It was not ice. It was just cold water, which was ice in my reality, right? Because it was like super cold. And yeah, I did that twice today. Tonight, after the shadow work Zoom, I'm going to be putting a tiny bit of actual ice cubes in. So today is a perfect day. Anyone who wants to join me and do ice, breath holding ice baths, this is a wonderful time to start because we just experienced a full moon. So that full moon pulsed our energetics. Now, what happens, let's say, for an example, we take a bottle of water and we stick this bottle of water outside in the full moon. Now, light ions, certain frequencies, do not pass through glass. Many of us choose to use glass containers for our water because it keeps it clean and pure. This is because light ions do not pass through glass. So when we have a piece of plastic and we have a plastic bottle, we stick it out in the full moon, all of the frequency from the full moon, it gets encoded into that water. Now, this is perfect because that full moon is releasing the density from our grids. So if we have that full moon, and let's say we take a very tiny sip every day of the month, then every day of the month we are working or focused on releasing whatever density, whatever stuck emotions, whatever darkness that's inside that doesn't allow the true you to shine bright. So we always want to take into consideration when we have these full moons, we always put a little bit of water outside so that we can have moon water throughout the month to help assist us. Now, the best thing about it is that there's a moon every single month, basically. And then some months actually have two. So I believe this month we're having two. So there'll be another chance for us to put some water out and collect moon water. Now, when you guys start to interact with moon water, I want you to realize that it's a frequency that we are ingesting. Now, when we take a very tiny, it could be one drop. It does not have to be a lot. If anyone's ever have an eyedropper or he's saying it's one drop of any substance. It does not matter what it is. It could be even holding a crystal. That crystal's frequency, it gets absorbed into your whole system. So your energetics and your physical form, they all have a response to the crystals. But if you take one drop, let's say essential oils, that one drop, it radiates over your entire physical form and out into the energetics, which then in turn changes the manifestation. This is another reason why it's very, very important to place conscious focus and attention on whatever products that we use in our hair. Your hair is an antenna for emotions. Emotions is how we control extrasensory abilities. So all of the magical abilities on that entire scale, it all is controlled by the emotions. We energetically cast chi electricity, but it's an energetic. And so we cast that according to the emotions, because the emotions and the energy has to be, it's like a clutch of a stick shift. You have to do the clutch and the gas at the same time. This is how the system works. It's your magnetism and your energetics, your electricity inside of the body. Inside each one of the cells holds a voltage. That voltage is directly determined by your pH levels in the physical form. So when we start to notice and pay attention to the way that these things work, we can actually dive into meditation and we can see and we can sense how the two systems are balanced. Now, these systems, they do reflect into each individual's life. And so whether your hair is short, whether your hair is long, is going to determine whether your magnetism is higher or stronger. Many times when we go through a trauma, sometimes the girls cut their hair, and that's because they are releasing the magnetism of that trauma. Now, if your chi energetic systems are off, you may be more logically focused. So you may be a go-getter, or you may be focused on getting the task done without actually expanding your emotional grids. That's okay too, because it's only an experience. So when we start to recognize how the two systems work, we start to have a good look at our life, at our patterns of behavior. Your patterns of behavior are everything, because every single pattern of behavior is directly controlled by your energetic grids. That is just how simple it is. When we start diving inside, we start releasing all the density. Density is a lower frequency. So it's the opposite of a higher frequency. The higher frequency is 5D. That's what we're shooting for. We have to release the density in order to get up to 5D. Now, every single item that we interact with, right down to the subatomic levels of the water, it interacts with our frequency range. This is why so many people have switched to eating organic raw vegetables and fruits only. And it's because their bodies get to tune into a higher frequency. I did that for a year, and then I was instructed by the star people to eat meat again and go through a healing. So from my personal experiences, I have seen it and I have felt it, how when we consume meat, it actually grounds us into the physical reality. That's not a bad thing. Sometimes we need to be extra grounded into the physical reality. Now, if we're not grounded, a lot of the times it may seem like you're in space, like a space cadet, or you're in your own daydream. So that happens. And so whenever we see someone who's like that, it may be good to ground into the physical world. Most of the times we have people around us that, like, bam, they snap us back to reality. And that's a lot of times it's that masculine energy. That could come from a male or a female, because in each individual contains masculine and feminine energetic systems, the star people are saying. So when we start to allow these systems to really be observed, we come into conscious awareness. It gives us a sense of awareness about who we are and what imbalances that each and every one of us are holding. The sheer fact is that if you are right now currently in a physical body, in the physical reality, and you can't wave your hand and shift into another parallel reality, that is an indication that there is density and distortions on your grids. It's okay, because we are human, and this is where we are, and this is our frequency. And in order to actually release all the karma, all the density, the distortions, all the darkness, the physicality of your body is density, because your true form is a light being. That light exists inside of us. This is known as the rainbow body of light. This is also known as your soul form, your astral form. It has many different names. This is also the way religions work. Religions are very similar in the sense that everybody is calling the same things a different name. And so we all have a sense of divide because we're just using different terminology. When we take all the religions and we start to compress them scientifically, let's say we handed artificial intelligence all of the world's religions and we told them, figure out what's the same and give me a book with everything that's the same in it. And then we read that book. That's actually going to be a quantum codex. A quantum codex is information that is one level higher than the Akashic records. So the Akashic records is this world, this reality. Your individual Akashic records is going to include your past lives, your future lives, and your current life of this parallel reality. Because this reality that we're in is the primary reality for each and every one of us. Now, your quantum codex. That quantum codex is a level higher, the star people are saying. That quantum codex is going to have every single parallel reality, all of the different lifetimes, and all of the other lifetimes that you could have potentially shifted into. So it's just one level higher. There's a baby step to this process. They keep saying there's 3 different levels to each extrasensory ability. So take a look at the mental grids. Your mental grids, the first level is being able to remember every microsecond of your day, which is of high value to each and every one of us, because when we can remember every microsecond, it actually grants us access into how did it make me feel. And so in this very moment, how does your body feel now? How does your emotions feel? How does the room or wherever, whatever location that you guys are in, how does that make you feel? Is it colorful? Is it beautiful? Is it somewhere that you want to sit down? When we start to go inside and we start to pick and choose and pull everything apart in a micro expression, how does this moment make me feel? If I don't feel 100 in this environment, I'm out. I'm going to move. I'm going to shift, because in my day, every single microsecond, it counts. Even if you're sad, miserable, or upset, we could go for a walk. If it's snowing outside, you can still go outside and hang under an umbrella and just absorb the air for a moment and see if you can change the emotions inside of you. That is our right. Our right is we can choose to change our frequency at any given time. Your frequency, your biological frequency, is controlled by the emotions as well as the thoughts. So many times, if you are having negative thoughts, it's eventually going to tune into the heart, and it is going to have an effect on the emotional grids. Now, please remember, your thoughts are directly connected into the hair, and the emotions, all of these systems are all connected. It works simultaneously. So if you have a really negative thought, the heart is going to radiate the emotion that matches the thought. Many times, it's 99.999% of the times, the star people are saying, it's a very rare experience to have it the other way, but 99% of the times, the heart is going to fire off the emotion first, is what the star people are saying. Now, think about it from a perspective of when you see something happen that is trauma or tragic, your heart jumps first before you have time to think. That is because the heart has particular neurons inside of it that is directly connected throughout time and space. This is also known as the 0 point. That 0 point has tachyon particles that allows the primary individual to go inside and to make shifts or changes into the frequency bandwidth of the entire physical reality. For everything that you see on the outside is a direct reflection of the internal circumstances radiating from your inside. So when we go inside and we make changes on the inside, the outside world is going to change. Now, one such example of this is being in a narcissistic relationship. And it doesn't matter if it's an intimate relationship or if it could be a parent, it doesn't matter who it is with. Now, when we change ourselves, when we have the self-love and we have the courage, because you have to have the courage. So when we go inside and we change our frequency, we change the way we feel about ourselves, we change our thoughts, and we finally stand up and we say, I'm not going to allow people to treat me like this anymore. What happens is you may still see the original people try and treat you like that, but it's like, bam, I do not allow this into my current reality. And then all of a sudden, the people, places, and things outside of you, it all changes because you're no longer in alignment with that. So another example is smoking cigarettes. When we smoke cigarettes, we're in alignment with certain people. So we're hanging out with them all the time. The second that you quit smoking cigarettes, your body changes. Everything changes. Oh, you can't stand the smell of it anymore. And then all of a sudden, you change the people and places and locations around you because now your vibration has increased. This happens. This is another example when people come into money. A lot of times, their people, places, and things, it shifts because they have raised their abundance frequency. So, and all these experiences are perfectly okay to have. We always want to have compassion when talking about experiences, and we never want to judge people. Because please also remember, anytime that we cast a judgment, because every single emotion that we radiate, it actually ricochets through our energy field, and whatever judgments, whatever negativity that we cast, it makes an imprint in that field, and then we have to experience both polarities of that judgment. And it's hard because sometimes you judge things that we shouldn't judge, and then all of a sudden we turn into the thing that we judged. So this is how the simulation works. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it'll take 20 years, but it will still manifest because that little piece inside of your star field, it gets density inside of it. And because humanity as a whole is so close to evolution and the solar flash or whatever may be, but we are getting very close to something really big flashing inside of us and fully activating our energetics. And so any density, any distortions, now is the time to have a good look at what are you holding on to. This can also be items in your house. And this is something that I currently am going through because I didn't want to get rid of my CD case. I've had it since high school and it has all the heavy metal and stuff. And the star people are like, you have to get rid of it. You have to get rid of it. And I'm like, but it's 100 something CDs, right? But it's the same exact thing because they see it from a frequency wavelength and they're like, that's not healthy. Get it out of the house, release it because it has an energetic cord that is emotionally tied into my field. So after the live, I'll probably throw it out. It's so much fun. But these are the things that we go through and these are the things that we experience, and that's okay too. When we start going through it, we start releasing it, it allows us to fully release the density and then level up. Now, of course, now is the time to do that while we're still experiencing this full moon energy, because the full moon energy is still here. It doesn't just disappear in a day or two. You guys can even put water out tonight and it will still absorb that frequency. Now, our physical bodies, if you don't leave your house, you're still going to get triggered by that frequency. So it kind of like blanket casts all the energetics all over everything. And we can see this because if you're inside, you're still going to get triggered with your densities. That's okay too, because this is a part of the process. Now, when we start to come into the knowledge, okay, the solar alignments are having big impacts on our consciousness. Now, this past retrograde, it did an activation of unity consciousness. So the reflections were bigger. Now, what that means is reflections is, let's say that you are going through any type of experience. That experience, whether it's positive or negative, you're going to start to see reflections in other people. You may notice conversations that you're having online, and then the people around you are having the same or similar conversations. Or you may notice that like one of your friends is going through the same exact thing at the same time as you. These are all reflections. So you can even look at TikTok, and TikTok will tell you something that you were just saying. That's also a reflection. It's all a ripple effect in the energy, which then in turn we perceive it. So certain solar experiences or solar frequencies, it's making unity consciousness become more and more activated, which is an absolute blessing. This is how we know something big is coming. Because when you start noticing the reflections and it's like bam, 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 then all of a sudden it's like, okay, the world that I saw 3 years ago wasn't doing this, but it's doing it today, and it's doing it more and more and more. So we just ever so gently, we have to go through the process, releasing the density. And really, what is it that you guys want to manifest? What is it that you see in front of you that you don't like? We have to release any emotions or judgments to negative things happening in the civilization as well. And so what that looks like, and that is, it's a tricky one, because when we start talking about the civilization, it pulls your emotion strings. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt or lose a house, God forbid, a fire, right? All of these different things that we see in the civilizations, that it tugs at our emotions and it makes us feel, and we're like, God, this shouldn't happen to people. But we cannot cast that judgment. We have to send love and light, hold space. If you guys donate, right? We do it from the goodness of our heart, but even still, we have to hold a frequency of neutral, because every single experience is manifest in according to an alignment. Now, I personally am witnessed to being in the right place at the right time So I have totally averted whatever trauma or tragedy or arguments was happening. So the second that, and this is something we each can do, each and every one of us can focus on holding a love light frequency. And then all of a sudden we allow that frequency to radiate out, and it has an impact on the actual location. Now, the reason why this is important is because many of us came here to be activated at certain moments in our life in which we already know we've been extra loving, caring, kind our entire life. You guys may have even been the black sheep of the family or of the school. It doesn't really matter where it was, right? And you've always felt like a little bit of an outcast because you've been more loving, caring, kind, and you don't backstab people, or you don't engage in the lower vibrational experiences. That's okay too. There's a reason that each and every one of us stepped into this timeline, into this path. And it was specifically because we knew we could amplify the source frequency, which is your light being, which is your soul form, which is connected to the ether, whatever terminology we want to use, the rainbow body of light. We amplify it by shining that love and light directly from the heart chakra. So when we walk into a civilization, we start saying things like, oh, this area is so super clean, even if it doesn't look clean. Say thank you, be happy and grateful for it, and just cast that love onto the area. What you're going to actually start to see is reflections. The reflections are going to be, all of a sudden the town may come and clean up the area. I just witnessed this because it was a while. I was all like, the train is so dirty, blah, 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 right? You shouldn't do that, because then the whole Ohio train thing happened. And I was like, yeah, I manifested that. But this is true in my reality. So then the star people were like, well, you feel like you manifested it. So what are you going to do? I was like, oh, the train is so clean, right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The train is so clean. I hear the train all the time. So what happened yesterday, we were walking, we passed a train, and all of a sudden there was a flower growing in the rocks right on the train tracks. And so that flower, it was very clean. I took a photo, it's on Facebook. And so, but it's something that we can see that, love and light and casting that energy. And when we looked, there was like 100 other yellow flowers straight down the train tracks. And so if that wasn't an answer to my manifestations, I don't know what is, right? But you have to look inside and see the magic that is right in front of you. Because I'm telling you, when you open your eyes and you're just aware of it, Mother Earth is going to start to respond to us. Now, anyone who knows anything about trains, those rocks, they contain heavy duty pesticides and all sorts of chemicals. There's no grass on a train track. Even the abandoned train tracks, it takes a very long time for the grass to grow through. Normally, we'll have grass grow through in our sidewalks, right? And so it's the rocks and the chemicals and all that stuff. So when we start to notice hundreds of yellow flowers growing through in a very toxic, or it's not toxic, it's a clean train tracks, right? Manifest. Then it's just a sign, it's a synchronicity. And so what it is we keep casting that love and light, and we keep stepping into bliss and just allowing this frequency to radiate out and just allow. And we always want to hold a state of neutral. So when we hold a state of neutrality, it actually allows us to tune into that 0 point. So the 0 point is directly located inside of your heart chakra. Now, the heart chakra radiates like this, like a traffic cone out the front. It also does it out the back of the body. So out the back of the body is where all of your fears and your traumas get broadcast. It kind of makes an energetic imprint, which then starts a cycle repeat process. Now, when we go directly in the center, that is neutrality. When we hold neutrality, it allows us to access this up and down. It's your Kundalini energetics. These are the different channels or light tubules that flow through the physical form. These tubules can also be unced around the head and around the upper chakra system. There's different chakras surrounding the body. There's one in front of the pineal gland, and the one out front is the one that controls the telepathy. So when we start to do things like rising your light body up, you can feel your energy rising up each one of the chakras. Many times people who do astral projection, you can feel this while you're diving deep into the meditation. You kind of feel your light body and it gets very small inside, and then you could feel it start to rise up. When it rises up, you can broadcast it into this front chakra that's in front of your pineal gland. Now, this chakra system then goes up. So we also can do it out the top of the crown chakra. However, there is a form of a gate above the top of the crown chakra. So that crown chakra has to be flowered open. Now, your pineal gland also flowers open inside your heart chakra. Your higher self flowers open. She feels like this, like your four fingers are coming out of the heart chakra. When she does that, your high or he, whatever, it's actually a light being, so there's no gender to the higher self. However, the star people are saying when the higher self takes a seat in the heart and flowers open, it automatically guides you to the highest potential timeline that you have for instant manifestation. So embodying that higher self and allowing the higher self to fully take its seat inside of your heart is key. The way that we do that is by releasing the density, going through the shadow work, and then being extremely happy. It's very simple. Be love and care and kindness as much as you can without trying to be perfect. No one is perfect. It is okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to stumble and fall. It's okay to fail. I have failed thousands of times. The thing that makes me different is I always get back up and I try again. Even if it takes me 1,000 times, it's okay too. Now, when we start to hold that compassion for ourselves, it's like breaking the chains off of you, because it's okay to be okay, and it's okay to not be okay at the same time. When we start to fully embody that, it allows us to be who we are in this moment without casting any judgments back on us. So your weight, how you look, whatever it is, you're not funny, right? You're black sheep, any of those are all judgments. You're either casting them on other people or you're casting them on yourself. So we want to release all that stuff, and we want to just feel okay in the now moment. Now, that does not mean to stop working on yourself. So one great tip is to make a list of things that you want to change in your life. Whatever things that you think are going to bring you more joy, peace, happiness, and harmony in your life, write it down. And then don't try and be perfect. Just do one. And that's what today was for me, because it's a new beginning day. It's a new shift day. And so it was in the water, in the bath, right? And it's ice bath. And then tonight, after the shadow work, I'm going to be putting actual ice in the bath. So, but it's a new day today. And so when we start each and every day fresh, and we just start, hey, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try and raise my frequency. It doesn't matter if you fail 1,000 times, just try. Right? So that's what I encourage and I ask you guys to do. Just try. Now, let's see what the next question was. Crystalline changes to the biological form. This one is amazing, because the process of evolution is going to take your physical form and it's going to make it more crystallized in its nature. Now, many times when you see, he's kind of like showing me, it's like sparkly skin. And that's how we're going to see it or sense it. But what it really is it's a high frequency. And so the first steps that we physically are going to notice when we start to tune in, it's 4D first, which we can already see in the civilization. And so your perception shifts, you start to notice the reflections. You may be extremely happy, but 4D has a lot of chaos energetics, which is what we see in the civilization today. We see a lot of chaos bubbling up, the bad weather, the volcanoes, all sorts of things in civilization. That's 4D, and it goes up and down, because the entire simulation goes in spiritual weeks and then physical weeks according to the solar energetics. And so a physical week is going to be paying the bills, washing the car, doing the laundry, anything that you are physically focused on. A spiritual week is more everything that you need just comes to you, and it goes very rapid, and then it kind of feels like it grounds down. And it's a spiritual week. And the more and more we go through this process and the more density we remove, it allows the process to go up and up and up. That does not mean that we cannot swan dive down. We can. I've done it, so I know. Of course, when we swan dive down, it doesn't have to be with anything crazy. It can just be an emotional swan dive. Now, what that does is it takes you from a high frequency and it sinks you. And so you may feel depressed for a little bit. That's okay too. You may feel grounded into the physical, or just like things aren't working, right? And when things aren't working, that's always a sign from the higher self that changes are at hand. They need to be made in order for you to rise back up. That's okay too. Sometimes the universe, it does this dance with us multiple times, because we may be completely in alignment in certain areas of the life, which include the chakra systems. So we could be in alignment with the pineal, the throat, and the heart, but then the lower three energy centers, which control our physical reality. Let's say we're an open-hearted, everything comes to us, we're really happy and bubbly, but we're not in the best location. Bam, energetic swan dive. And so your world gets shaken up. You could experience the loss of an apartment, even though you're all loving, care, and kindness. It's important to be in alignment in every single chakra. This is another thing that we do during the shadow work sessions. We dive into each one of the chakras and we rebalance them, and then we clean them, we clear them, and then we cast love and light energetics into them. So the shadow work session is completely complimentary. If you guys want to come, shoot an email to daniellelipton.com and I just send you a Zoom link. I'm a big fan of Together We Rise, and building a community is where we should be looking to do. So it's amazing. When we start to rebalance each and every one of our chakras, we can start to see the reflections in the real world, in our real life. So your throat chakra, for an example, is your communication. How are you communicating with the simulation? Are you speaking up for yourself? Are you telling people no when they do something that's not 100% in alignment? Or are you being meek or just allowing it to proceed, right? That's a throat chakra. So when we start to balance the throat chakra, there's many different ways of balancing this. We can utilize crystals. We can utilize flower essences. We can utilize affirmations. I always speak my truth. Double tap your heart. Each and every one of us can do this now. This is a positive affirmation, but when you double tap your heart, it sends the affirmation directly into the higher self. The higher self is always going to look at you when you double tap. It also has an effect on the physical form, releasing hormones that make us feel good. And so that's why the higher self is looking at us. You guys can do affirmations of anything. So if you want to be healthy, I am healthy, double tap your heart. I am happy, double tap my heart. Everything in the universe is always aligned in my favor, double tap your heart. That's it. And start doing this over and over. Anytime that we have negative thoughts or feelings, we start to dive in and reprogram them, double tap the heart. That's it. Because then it's you're taking control of your thoughts and your emotions. Now, that goes right back to that microsecond of every single moment that you're awake. Now, this is hard to do. Many times you have to put your conscious focus and attention on doing it. It's not always easy. And then you do it a little bit and then you forget. That's okay too, because we go in right? All of these different cycles, the star people are saying. So it's cyclic. I couldn't say the word. I was like, how do you say it? You had to tell me cyclic is the word. Okay, so when we start to recognize this, then we want to start to keep track or tally. What do we do that makes us feel good? Do more of that. So if doing the affirmations, if doing mudras is a great way of shifting the energy inside of your body, right? The chi energetic systems are directly connected to the body's voltage. So when we start to move the body in different ways, it starts to move the energy around in different ways, which allows new energy to come and replace the stagnant energy in the field. So for example, if anyone is experiencing back pain, how do you feel after a week worth of stretching? You feel better. Your body feels better. But the energetic grid also is reflecting that shift in energy. And so we even practice making light balls, right? So we send it love and light. We pretend like there's a light bulb, and anywhere that you guys have pain, you push the light bulb into your body. Now, I know it seems like hocus pocus, but it's actually not. It's called Qigong. When we start to do things like this, I personally, from doing sessions with people, I've noticed that they've had energy shifts. They have movements. They feel like something got removed from their heart. That's a heart shade, right? So when we push the light bulbs in or we send it love and light, either way we do it is fine. It's all energy. But when we do this, real biological signs show up in everybody. And so I've seen people they burp. So let's say we're doing a session and all of a sudden I start tuning into your grids. I may burp. I may get a sign. There may be a headache that I get. There may be someone pulsing somewhere. And it's like it's feeling into the energy of the other person. Each and every one of us can do this. This is known as an energetic transference. It's when the field starts to blend. Now, a blending of our aura fields, we do naturally with each and every person that we come into contact with. This is also how the animals work, because the animals, they bond in. It's every single chakra goes through the system of energetically bonding. We don't cut the cords with the animals. We always leave it. And so then that animal, it starts to reflect back to us our field. And so if the primary owner of the animal, it's not the owner, the star people are stepping forward. They're saying the primary caregiver of the animal, because you never really own the animals. The animals always spiritually select the owner. When the caregiver of the animal starts this process, the animal reflects a lot of the image of the owner. So let's say, for an example, that owner is going to have, it's not an owner, it's a caregiver. He's saying again, sorry, he's correcting me. Let's say the animal shows up with a heart palpitation. So then we would want the caregiver, again, we would want the caregiver to go and have the heart tested for a heart palpitation. 9 times out of 10, you're either going to see something, or it may take a little while before the owner, the caregivers, is reflected. The animals are smaller than us, and so they are going to tune into the energetics, and they are going to reflect sooner. Especially the smaller the size the animal, the faster the energetic distortion will be manifest, is what the star people are saying. So our animals will also take the hit for us. And this is something that I don't really like talking about, but this is true, and I've seen it too. So many times the animals, if the owner is going to have, let's say, a serious disease or a trauma or a tragedy is going to happen, then we may notice that the animal may pass away. And that specifically is done because the animal takes the hit for the caregiver. And so what happens is then it's like a rebalancing of the caregiver's energetics. Sometimes a caregiver gets a new animal, and that's new energy that comes into the field, and the cycle starts over. So if you guys have ever known people who have dogs, and let's say the one dog had cancer, that one passed, and then they got another dog, and the second dog had cancer, it just hasn't shown up in the human yet. And so we want to always have a look at that. This is how energy works. And so just imagine for 1 second that we have a plant, and that plant is in our energetic field. Now that plant, it's going to know who you are, because the plants, especially flowers can release pheromones. They release smells. So when we walk in the room, that flower already knows by our field. It knows before we even enter the house. It knows we're about to walk into the house. So that flower is going to release a scent to try and draw your attention to it so you can talk to it or give it water or just place your focus and attention on it. It's trying to make communication with you. When we walk through the woods, Mother Earth knows us. She can feel our energetic grids. She knows who each and every one of us are. She is properly attuned to your brain waves. She's properly attuned to your emotions, and she knows your complete memory. When we start to do woods and walking, we can sit down, we can meditate, and we can make contact and communication with the plant kingdom. The plant kingdom, mycelium is also included in that, the mushroom kingdom. These different plants will provide healing and different cures right at our fingertips. Many times these plants, they are right in our own backyards, and we just currently are unaware of it. So when we start to place focus and attention on when we see repetitive flowers or repetitive plants, most of the times it looks like a weed. And the weeds are the #1 heart cure. So the dandelions are all over the place. Very hard to kill. And they're magical in their nature because children pick up the seeds and they blow them and they make wishes. So all of those wishes from all of the children over all of the years got encoded into that plant because it was made with love. And anything that the human consciousness places that much focus and attention on, it's an energetic casting. And so when the children have done this, they have actually given us the #1 heart cure. That dandelion is a blessing to all humanity, and it's known. What spider would mean spiritually? Okay, so spiders mean different things. It depends on the color spiders. It depends on, did you see the web? Most of the times whenever I personally see an animal reflection, this could also be an insect, but it's also a synchronicity. It's numbers repeated on the license plates or times. When we see that, then we are supposed to take our cell phones, and each of us are supposed to Google, not Google, do Firefox or something else, something that's non-censored. But whatever it is that you're manifesting, you're going to notice your own reflections in your own browser history. And that is because your cellular device is linked in to your consciousness. So it's going to show you reflections of what you pick. If you had two people and we stood together, then all of a sudden we both, and I've seen this too, we both Google what does 555 mean? And then all of a sudden we both get totally different answers. And that's because everyone's cell phone is set to reflect back to their energy field. Now, that's a spiritual perspective. There's also a physical perspective, but everything starts in the energy and then it is manifest into the physical reality. So the physical reality, we could take a look at it and say, oh, well, the artificial intelligence is reading our brainwave patternings, and then it's giving us, Google advertisements or whatever it is, according to whatever it is that we browsed or what it heard or what it saw on the camera. So either way we can look at it, it's either a spiritual perspective, it is reflecting our energy back, or a physical. The phone is telling us because it knows our history. It knows our energy. That's okay too. This is how the world works. And it gets really exciting because when we start to dive in deep to that topic, it's like whatever your energy is what you are going to see. Now, depending on what your polarity is, if you are an optimist or a pessimist, we have the positive, we have the negative, whatever your perception is, just imagine it's like a pair of glasses. Your pair of glasses can have dirt on it. And so you could be seeing and you could be not seeing the entire photo because you're seeing out of dirty glasses. But if you're clean and of a positive nature, now you're seeing differently. This is how the reality works. So your emotions determine whether those glasses are clean or dirty. When you start to open your heart to love, joy, and bliss, even if you get sidetracked, even if you get turned around, you start to see it as the universe always puts me in the right place at the right time so that I am safe, I am protected, my abundance is full, so that if I get caught up for a half hour and I'm delayed and I'm late, I still see it as a blessing. It doesn't matter if I couldn't find my keys or whatever the situation was. What matters is that I know I'm in divine alignment and I'm always protected, and whatever setbacks happen, it came to protect me or to put me in the right place at the right time. You guys have ever gone into a gas station and just come across the right person at the right time and met your best friend? This is how the universe works. We do this magnetically. It is controlled by the emotions that radiate from your heart. It gets encoded into your hair, but it is not only the hair, it is the fine hairs on the face as well, which is the reason why whenever we start to do any type of attachment removals, we are supposed to wash the facial hairs. When you wash the facial hairs, it removes all of the emotions. The star people said the eyelashes are very important as well. Many times attachment removals require tears of salt water. That salt water removes the emotion that is encoded into the hair at the cellular structures. Now, do I have the ability to mute certain comments? I probably do, but I can't focus on the comments. It's really tiny. I don't know why I got sucked into that one. Okay, let me see what's the next question. Access codes. So access codes are very, very important. Access codes can be considered as any item in the physical reality which grants us access into a particular frequency range. And so a particular frequency range would be, let's say, touching a crystal. This is Lumerian quartz. I had no idea this was Lumerian quartz until my friend gave me a big Lumerian quartz. And apparently when you take them and you push them together, they make a little spark. It's amazing. And so anyway, when we start to hold different crystals, it's going to give us access into a different frequency range. Now, when we hold on to a crystal, it literally takes 1 minute to absorb the frequency from that crystal. So if you have any imbalance in your grid, let's say all of your chakras are either out to the left, out to the right, they're supposed to be directly centered. When we touch a crystal, it has the ability to snap all of the chakras directly back into the center. That's how quick this is. So an access code is something that we engage with that changes our frequency very rapidly, or the star people are saying it could even happen over time, but it still gives the primary individual access into that frequency. So this is a blessing because every single food that we ingest is an access code. we can also program access codes. So for example, let's take your physical body. Now, what I did, I took a place on my hand. This is a fake tattoo. It's not real. My daughter and I, we do tattoos. It's fun. You put it on, it comes off. But we do a little spot here. And so when you feel stressed out or tension or tightness, you can hold this spot and then you program it. And the way that we program an access code is to go in and hold the emotion that you want to see radiate. So let's say you're very stressed, your anxiety, your heart's in your throat. Hold a spot and say, I program a love-based access code. How does it feel to hold love? How does that emotion feel? So while you're holding whatever piece of your body, you pick the code, you pick the location, however you feel, just hold love. Now you have to start to train the body. So do it a couple of times. Press down on the spot, whatever location, radiate the emotion of love. How does the emotion of love make you feel? Allow that emotion to wash over your complete physical form. And then you keep doing it. In time, your muscle memory is going to kick in, and your muscle memory is going to automatically release that emotion because you program the access code. This can be done in a number of ways. Some access codes are automatically programmed into the meridian system the star people are saying. So some such ones would be like micro expressions. So certain facial expressions with the hands, if you put in certain ways, it actually automatically radiates an emotion code. So take the knowledge of what emotion codes, what hand positions or mudras. We could do a multitude of one. This one is what the star people had me do in order to heal. Top 3 fingers together, the bottom 2 make a heart. Then they had me put my thumbs against my heart. I don't know what it means scientifically. I just know that they were like, do this and you will heal. And I was like, okay, thank you. All right, thank you guys. And now I tell everyone, do this, make the heart, do the 3 fingers and just, right? And how does it make you feel? It makes you feel love. It makes you feel a tiny bit better. And it takes your mind off of whatever you are going through in the now moment. It is like all that is like, shoo, wait a second, this is what I'm going to focus on. And I'm going to come back to a positive frequency, and I'm going to allow the experience to play itself out. Sometimes we get called to do that as well. Now, what that looks like is releasing resistance. When we release the resistance to the physical world, sometimes it's not easy, especially when we are transitioning from a negative into a positive. Sometimes the only thing that we are capable of doing is taking baby steps, one after the other, and just allowing. And when we just allow, it basically allows the higher self to take the steps for us. This is actually what the star people are showing me. When I was alone, I carried you. That's what that is. It's when you're going through your dark night of the soul and you are taking those steps to get yourself from the darkness back into the light frequencies. Those steps, you're being carried because you're being guided through, because you have to release the resistance and allow it. And that is the hardest thing that any one of us has ever had to do. Because when you just, it is what it is, and you just take that one step and it's going to be okay, and that's it, you keep going, a whole new timeline will actually expand into your physical world. Let me take a sip. How's everyone doing tonight? Okay. When we allow the higher self to guide the physical reality and to guide us, it actually allows us to step on or step into the highest potential timeline. There's always baby steps. And so we have to go from that negative polarity, and we've all been in it, when your life just seems like everything is crumbling outside of you, and we have to take it into the positive reality. And so we have to just allow. The experience just has to unpack and unfold. But just don't give up. Just keep taking those little baby steps. The baby steps will lead you to a high frequency. And so when you are in the darkness, it's very important to recognize, it's like, okay, your life is dark, you're going through it, there's a lot of turbulence, that's okay. If you have tried every single step to pull yourself out of it, you could potentially be in one of those cycles. Because many times the darkness has cycles in which it's like a 7-year or a 12-year cycle the star people are saying. A 12-year cycle complete. And then it allows for a shift into the neutrality of it is okay to have this experience, and then to shift into light frequency waves. Each person is encoded from before your birth to go through that cycle according to what the higher self or you before you came here pre-programmed. And there's certain spots that activate you. And so when I started coming into my spiritual awareness, it was at the age of 33. That knowledge came to me. Now, 33 is a very significant number because 333 is actually the source frequency number. So in order to level up to the degree of becoming and blending one with the source frequency, we have to go through 333 levels or bricks of consciousness. Those bricks of consciousness look like your life. It looks like right now, right? We go through it and it's like, oh, we have to work on all this stuff. And then we handle all that stuff and then it clears. And then we get to the next brick and it's like, there's more stuff. And that's okay too, because those are different bricks of consciousness. This is why we see people and it's like, you want to have $1 million and all the money. And then you look at the people who have the $1 million and they still have problems. And that's because consciousness always has to have something to be focused on. The second that you release all of the density, your rainbow body of light is fully activated and you level up. So if you're here, we have stuff to work on. That's okay too, right? That's what makes us human. And that's what makes the experience wonderful, is the sheer fact. Just imagine for 1 second, if we were in 5D already and we didn't have stuff to work on, what would we do then? We would miss these days in which we were working on all the stuff because it felt so serious, right? And it does. It feels so serious because we're in it. But really, when we heal it all, it's like, oh, that was easy. We just had to have more love for everything, even the bad stuff. And then we level up to 5D and then we do what the star people are doing. Well, we've healed everything. We've had our fun. We can instantaneously manifest. We're magical beings. We're telepathic. What else is there to do? Well, let's help the 3D people level up to 5D. That's what we will be doing in the future. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's just a journey and it's an expression. It's an experience. And so enjoying the baby step process to get from here to there. Now, I look back at my life and I'm like, wow, I've come so far, right? And I've enjoyed the journey, even if it was rough, even if it was tough. Right? The journey of making the baby steps to get here, it gives me strength, it gives me hope, and it gives me courage and authenticity. Because when we step into it's okay to be who I am designed to be, it unlocks your truest, highest potential, which is beautiful. Okay. So tonight we are doing the Shadow Work Zoom. Everyone on TikTok, you guys are more than welcome to come. Just send me a message at daniellelipton.com. Now, I have... Well, here's the book. So I did write a book. It is on pre-sale right now on daniellelipton.com. The one on my website is for the autographed copy mailed from my hands to yours. So this one is a pre-sale. Some of the overseas people have been reporting that the shipping is a little bit high. That's okay too. On September 11th, Amazon is going to be doing direct shipping. So you can still get it from Amazon Direct, which is wonderful. Now, this book contains, it's like my entire ascension guide. This was my guide that I wrote. And every single time I went through that brick of consciousness or any of the trials and tribulations, I wrote it down and I downloaded. And the star people gave me information. And then I started asking questions. Why? Why do I see this? Why is this happening? And then all of a sudden, all of it turned into a book. And it turned into this amazing information. And so you guys can really, depending on the level of consciousness that you're at, which is all of us, it explains the entire 3D reality and how to overcome everything to get into 5D. So the ones I have listed for pre-sale also come with a free ascension session, which is amazing. So we can get on a Zoom call and we can dive in deep and see where your evolution is at. Excellent. What else did I have? Let me see. Oh, okay. The weekend. So this weekend, we have 2 different live sessions. So the first one, let me see, September 10th, there's 2 spots left available. It's a very small live event, but it is, all these things are up on my Facebook. I posted them all today. September 9th is a live in-person channeling. both of these things are going to be held on Long Island, New York. And so if you guys want to come, just go right to Facebook, or my website has a Facebook link so you guys can get there. And then the September 9th is, we did this one a week or two ago. And what it kind of looks like is an attachment removal for the entire group, which is amazing to do, because attachments, when we release them, we feel very clean energetically. And then we go in and we do a full channeling. And so any information comes across that you guys need to hear in order to allow new information to come in and assist you on your evolution. And then we close out with downloading light codes, which is a form of light linguistics. It is just reprogramming your grids with affirmations, higher frequencies, and just allowing your body, mind, spirit complex to heal. It's wonderful. Yes. So if you guys have any questions, you can also send them in through the website, and then I write them down and I answer them on the next live. My lives are Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. The shadow work Zooms are at 8:30 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays after the live. You guys have a wonderful evening and many, many love and blessings. Thank you for coming.